No, she answered.
No, she has.
Next question.
It's my turn, right?
Yeah.
She started.
To get the first
Right.
question, yes.
Yes, she gets the first question. What ideas do you have to generate revenue?
Okay. I think I sort of addressed this in my opening statement. And one idea, first of all, I really believe in community input and getting ideas from the community. And I've been listening to what different people in the community have been saying. As an education lawyer, I know firsthand that one way to bring in a lot of revenue, and I mean, by a lot I mean like, easily, $750,000 to $1 million, is by developing a special education program that other districts will cross-contract with Baldwin to send their students here. And I can tell you that sort of the big boom for the past 10 years has been creating programs for kids on the spectrum. That's now changing because everybody has those programs. And it looks like the new trend, only because this is where I have most of my clients, is in creating programs for these kids that are referred to as 2E kids, which means twice exceptional. So they're kids who cognitively do very well, but they have other issues, typically sensory or some sort of social or behavioral issues that make educating them in the typical classroom not possible. And it's also not possible to put them in a self-contained classroom because cognitively they're high above. So creating a program like that, you could easily charge another district $50,000 to $75,000 per student to bring them in. Plus you could bring your other students in. Okay, I have 30 seconds. So other ways, was it generating revenue? Yeah. Obviously using the two schools, other ideas that I've heard, and one really interesting, I don't know if it's feasible or not, and this is really more saving than generating revenue, is that a judge told me that New York state law does allow special districts, and a school district is considered a special district, to utilize the county attorney's office. So right now, all school districts retain a private, highly priced law firms to represent them in all legal matters, whether it's special education union, whatever they're doing. But I think it's
Mr. Press.
Okay. I think the biggest, and this is one of the things that we studied on the Budget Advisory Committee, and why it wasn't a sham, is because we looked at ways of generating revenue. That was one of our charges. Most of the items that Ms. Ravori rattled off in her opening statement were things that we addressed or looked at in the Budget Advisory Committee. Very good ideas. Most of them we're already doing. Cooperative purchasing, we have cooperative busing contracts. There were some things in some of those ideas that we looked at, the sort of branded credit card that I thought was kind of interesting. Rosalind is doing that now with NEFCU. We were fortunate to have a NEFCU rep on the committee, so we got some information there. It's something that we need to continue to look at. I think utilizing the two schools, though, is one of the ways that we can probably generate a good amount of revenue. One of the ideas that I had heard someone mention was running a pre-K program there. And this sort of ties into some of the other things, and I guess we'll get to them. I probably don't have enough time here, is getting our students prepared from an early age before they get into kindergarten. If we had a pre-K program there, whether it was paid or not, I think that would generate revenue from the schools. I believe Oceanside has a pre-K program in one of their schools. West Islip does. I think they lease it out to a private concern. We could do stuff like that. West Islip has some very interesting ways that they're utilizing some of their closed schools to generate revenue. I think we should look at, if we can't get a pre-K program in there, maybe BOCES needs a school. I've heard also that BOCES is always looking for facilities. We could maybe lease some of the one or two of the closed buildings to BOCES. So I think those are some of the ideas that I would want to look into a little bit more, sort of continuing the work that we started on the Budget Advisory Committee.
Dale?
Yes. First of all, just a reality check. I want you to realize that we are $6 million in the hole. Okay? That's because of $20 million of loss in state aid over the past 4 years. So just keep that in mind. and how big that is. Even if we fired every administrator we have, we would not make $6 million. So we need to remember that. That's a big, big deficit. And I feel like our school district has tried in several ways to fill that hole. And what we're doing is things like we are the only district on Long Island to receive a competitive extended school violence prevention grant, which is $104,000 a year for each of 4 years. We actively pursue grants and funding in that way. We are always exploring revenue that is creative, such as the credit card thing that they're doing in Roslyn. We explored that, and we think that it's an interesting idea. And yes, maybe we will implement that next year. It's something to explore. These are all ideas that are continuous. We don't look at something and then just throw it to the wind. We actually look at it, explore it, keep coming back to it, try to figure out how we can to get more money into our district. And most of it has been through cooperative bids. Most of it has been through grants and making cuts in the places that we could make cuts without affecting our program.
Ms. Clark?
Actually, people keep talking about 2 schools. We actually had the forethought, when we had the buildings appraised, to have the 3 schools appraised, including the building you're in right now. Our thought being we may get more money for this particular building in the harbor than, say, Milburn or Schubert. And the plan was to, if that's the case, then we will readjust the administration and move them elsewhere. So by including the 3 buildings, we're now talking a lot of money. So hopefully that's one thing that's in the option. The law firm, I thought was a great idea 3 years ago when a judge brought it to me. And I checked with the Nassau legal department, I don't know what you would call it. They said they could not possibly represent us because they do not have the expertise in their staff to do education law. So that was dropped. We have joined more and more consortiums. Other than real estate, there really isn't any big ticket items. But let me just tell you this. We were looking in at the middle school to put in solar panels. I know it's not a huge amount of money, but everything helps. A district, I think in Westchester, did that. Got a price to bring in solar panels, and the legislation said whatever, and I know you don't agree with this, but this is what was said. Whatever is saved by putting in the solar panels will be deducted from your state aid. So where's the incentive? There just isn't any. But we will keep looking. That, one of the reasons that we have the alternative funding thing with the BEA was I had pushed for it. Both Kim and I had pushed for it because we kept getting suggestions from the community that I thought sounded good. But of course our hands are tied in a lot of those things and they won't allow us to do them.
Ms. Revolt?
She started.
I went first.
She went first.
Oh, you're all right. All right. So, Ms. Taylor, you are first.
Mr. Press.
Yes, Mr. Press.